Good. All right. First up today.
I believe Seagraves and Weatherspoon are both ready. They should both be a waiver of the exam. I'll let the defense attorneys duke it out over who gets to go first.
All right, let's start with Seagraves.
Yeah. Yep.
It's Seagraves
Yep,
and Thompson, right?
Seagraves and Weatherspoon.
Weatherspoon. All right. And are you waiver? And is this going to be a waiver on both files?
It should be, yes.
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
All right.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Feigelson. How are you?
Well, how about yourself?
Pretty good. All right, so we're on the record in two files. That's docket 24-00522 and 24-01097. That is the City of Lansing, people of the state of Michigan versus people of the state of Michigan versus Gregory Seagraves. Will the parties please introduce themselves to the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Mr. Feigelson.
Yes, Your Honor, good morning. Assistant Public Defender Stephen Feigelson on behalf of Greg Seagraves, who's standing to my right this morning.
And sir, you are Gregory Seagraves, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. This is the time set for a preliminary examination on both files. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
Thank you, Your Honor. It's my understanding that the defense and the people will be unconditionally waiving their preliminary exam. The offer on this, on both of these files, open until pretrial in circuit court, is a plea on one and a dismissal of the other upon successful plea and sentencing, and there is restitution.
And that's a fair statement, Mr. Feigelson.
It is, Your Honor.
Mr. Seagraves, that's your understanding of the plea offer is it's a one-for-one, essentially a one-for-one offer that's open in circuit court until the pretrial.
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Feigelson may inquire of your client of his waiver on both files of the preliminary examination.
You may, Your Honor.
All right. You understand, sir, that you have a right to have a preliminary examination today in both of these files. That's 24-00522 and 24-01097. A preliminary examination is a probable cause hearing in which the people would have to prove by probable cause evidence that a crime has been committed and the identity of the person who committed that crime in both of these files. You are represented today by Attorney Stephen Feigelson. He would be present to cross-examine any witnesses and contest any charges brought against you by the people of the state of Michigan. It is my understanding it is your wish today to waive your right to a preliminary examination. There's been an offer. It's been indicated on the record. It's open till circuit court and pretrial. That's my understanding. That's the nature of what we're doing right now. It is your wish today to waive your right to a prelim on both of these files. Is it your wish to waive your right to a preliminary examination on 24-01097? Is it your right? Is it your wish to waive your prelim to a prelim on 24-00522? All right, thank you. Do the people also waive their right to a preliminary examination?
We do, Your Honor, on both files.
All right, I find the waiver to be knowing, voluntarily, and accurately made, and I will provide the documentation, the bind over documentation on both files. Sean, so that's the first one. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Shelley. All right, so we're on the record in docket. I'll start with 20-02300 24-00522. I'm in possession of the bind over documentation. I'll indicate that the examination has been waived on today's date. Anything else on file 24-00522? Ms. Wilson,
Not for the people.
Mr. Feiges.
Nothing on behalf of Mr.
All right,
Stevens. Your
I
Honor.
will, on this file, I will sign the bind over documentation on this file. You were all set, sir. Your time in district court is done. And you'll be on, get your next date in circuit court from your attorney, Mr. Feigelson, all right? And then as to docket 24-01097, I'm in possession of the bind over documentation. I'll indicate that it has also been waived on today's date. Anything else for the record in docket 24-01097, Ms. Wilson?
Not for the people.
Mr. Feigelson.
Nothing on behalf of Mr. Seagraves, Your Honor.
All right, I will also sign this bind over documentation so that on this file, your time in district court is done. So on both of these files, your time in district court is done. You'll get your next you'll get your next date in court, in circuit court, from Mr. Feigelson. All right, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. Anything, that's all for the record in both files. Thank you for your appearance today.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a nice day.
You too. And then Ms. Livingston.
Yes, Weatherspoon is the defendant.
And Ms.
Livingston's the attorney, yes. Oh.
So we're on the record in dockets. Two dockets, once again, 24-00523 and 24-01096. That is people of the state of Michigan versus Leona Weatherspoon. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Ms. Livingston.
Good morning, Your Honor. Katie Livingston appearing on behalf of Ms. Weatherspoon, who stands to my right.
Ma'am, you are Leona Witherspoon, is that correct?
Leona Weatherspoon.
Liana, thank you. Liana Witherspoon, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. This is the time set for a preliminary examination today. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe this is going to be an unconditional waiver of the exam on both files from both the people and the defense. The offer on both of these files that is open until pretrial and circuit court is a plea to one. Upon successful plea and sentencing, there would be a dismissal of the other file and restitution.
And is that a fair statement, Ms. Livingston?
That is accurate, Your Honor.
So the waiver is the waiver is going to be unconditional. The offer has been placed on the record. Ms. Livingston, may I inquire of Ms. Weatherspoon of her preliminary examination bind over?
Yes, please, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Weatherspoon, you understand you have a right to preliminary examination on both of these files. You have a right to preliminary examination on 24-00523, and you have a right to preliminary examination in 24-01096. A preliminary examination is a probable cause hearing in which the people would have to prove by probable cause evidence that a crime has been committed and the identity of the person who committed that crime. You are represented today by attorney Katie Livingston. She would be present to cross-examine any witnesses, contest any charges brought against you by the people of the state of Michigan. It is my understanding today, it is your wish to waive your right to a preliminary examination on file 24-00523 and 24-01096. Have these cases continue on to circuit court. An offer has been made and placed on the record with the terms been placed on the record, and it is open till the circuit court pretrial. Is that your understanding, then?
Yes.
Is it your wish today to waive your right to a prelim on both 24-00523 and 24-01096?
Yes.
Do the people also waive their right to a preliminary examination?
We do, Your Honor, on both files.
Okay, I find the waiver of the preliminary examination to be knowing, voluntarily, and accurately made, and I have documentation on both files to that effect. So Sean, I'll give you that one first. And then I'll give you this one.
We don't do.
That's told, fine. The next page. So I think that one was out of order. Thank you, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you.
I'm not sure how we both missed that. Thank you.
Just out of order.
You're doing magic.
No, maybe, hopefully. Thank you, Sean.
I'll get my eyes checked.
All right, so we will start with docket 24011096. The examination has been waived on today's date and signed by all the parties. Prior to signing the bind over, is there anything else on the record in 24011096? Ms. Wilson,
Not for the people.
Ms. Livingston.
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Witherspoon, your time on this file in district court is done. You'll get your next date in circuit court from your attorney, Ms. Livingston. All right, ma'am? All right, I'll sign on this file the bind over documentation. And then subsequently on docket 24000523, I'll sign the bind over documentation on that file that is bound over on today's date. Anything else on the record in 24000523, Ms. Wilson?
Not for the people.
Ms. Livingston.
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, on that document, I'll sign this file, the bind over documentation. Your time in district court is done. You'll get your next date in circuit court from your attorney, Ms. Livingston. All right, ma'am? Anything, that's all for the record on both these files. Thank you for your appearance today.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good day. Thanks.
Yep.
All right, Ms. Wilson,
I believe we're ready on Miss Henry.
Thank you. That's Ms. Schroeder's case?
It is.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so we're on the record in docket 240135. That is people of the state of Michigan versus Jamisha Henry. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson,
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Ms. Schroeder.
Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Aaron Schroeder on behalf of Ms. Henry, who is present and standing currently to my right.
And ma'am, you are Jamisha Henry, is that correct? All right, thank you. This is the time set for preliminary examination on the matter. Ms. Wilson, how we proceed?
Thank you, Your Honor. It's my understanding that this is going to be a plea to count 2 of the complaint. Upon successful plea and sentencing, count 1 would be dismissed.
Plea to count 2, which is the OWI, I believe.
Correct.
Yes.
Count 1. And the plea to count 2 is a punishable by 93 days in jail and or 100 to 500. Is that correct?
I believe so, Your Honor. Let me just double check.
Or 360 hours of community service.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Ms. Schroeder, is that your understanding? There's a plea to count 2, ultimate penalty of 93 days and or $100 to 500 and or 360 hours community service with a plea to count 2 upon successful sentencing and completion on the sentencing of count 2. Count 1 is to be dismissed. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, it is my understanding that count 1 would be dismissed upon sentencing on count 2.
Correct. And Ms. Henry, that's your understanding. Is that correct? All right. Ms. Schroeder, may I inquire of your client of her advice of rights on this misdemeanor plea?
You may, Your Honor.
All right. Ma'am, as we indicated, and you've heard, the ultimate penalty for this case can be 93 days and or $100 to $500. Do you understand that? Is that a yes? Okay, thank you. I'm going to walk you through the following trial rights you have in this matter. You have the right to be tried by a jury, to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, to have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty, to have witnesses against you appear at trial, to question any witnesses that are brought against you. You are represented today by Attorney Erin Schroeder. She would be present to cross-examine any witnesses or contest any charges brought against you by the people of the state of Michigan at trial. Do you understand that, ma'am? You have the right to have the court order any witnesses appear in your defense, to remain silent during the trial, not to have that silence used against you, and to testify at trial if you choose to testify. If your plea is accepted, you'll give up the claim the plea was a result of any promises other than what we've stated on the record, or threats that it was not your choice to plead guilty. You'd also be giving up the right to any trial, any issues at trial, but since you won't be having a trial, you'll be pleading guilty instead. Is it your wish and intent today to plead guilty to the count 2 of operating while impaired today?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
I'm going to bring your attention back to February 25th of 2024 at the offense location of West Oakland Avenue on North Capitol Avenue in the city of Lansing. Were you operating a motor vehicle on West Oakland Avenue, North Capitol Avenue in the city of Lansing on February 25th, 2024?
Yeah.
And at that time, was that vehicle which you were operating was open to the area of the general public? All right. And at that time, did you learn at that time or later that you had at the time you were operating a blood alcohol level of over 0.08 grams?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else towards the factual basis on count 2, Ms. Wilson?
Nothing for the people, thank you.
Ms. Schroeder?
Nothing for the defense, thank you.
I find that the factual basis on count 2 to be knowing, voluntarily, and accurately made, and we will refer to probation. And is there restitution on the file?
There is, Your Honor, there is an OWI cost recovery. Ms. Schroeder is just confirming with her documents.
I didn't see it in here. Do you have it?
Yeah.
I'm not doubting that it
Right,
exists. I just want to double, and it's not, like I said.
That would go to the probation department in the file. I don't know who your probation officer is, ma'am, but you should go down to the 5th floor, set that all up. What they're going to do is they're going to prepare a report for me. And then on our date of sentencing, we'll see what options are available to us. All right.
Freaking weird.
All right. Sentencing date of?
August 9th.
I mean, I don't know of any reason.
Okay.
I mean, if I could get that.
Yeah, I can send it to you.
Thank you. Yeah, they're entitled to that under the statute because there were extra officers that brought it. So you have to pay that back as part of. Is that something that you're still okay with?
Right. So,
Thank you.
so for the record, the restitution has been indicated. I'm going to put it in the file. That's the Lansing. That'll be part of probation. I'll include that in the report, and you'll have the opportunity to see that report as Ms. Schroeder goes over it with you. But that is the request for the restitution amount to the Lansing Police Department. So go down to the 5th floor, get it all set up either today. They might give you an appointment date, and then we'll see you on August 9th. All right, ma'am? Anything else for the record in 24-01355, Ms. Wilson?
Not for the people.
Ms. Schroeder?
Just one moment, Your Honor.
All right.
I think because I was in the middle of trying to do that, I missed what time on August 9th was that?
It would be August 9th at 9 a.m.
Very good, Your Honor. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. That's all for the record. We'll see you on that date. Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Henry, if you wait here, I'll walk you down to probation.
Thank you.
And then I believe Ms. Lawton and Ms. Robinson are ready on Calvin Thompson.
Thompson. That's the first Thompson, right? Dominic Thompson,
Dominic Thompson
is in Clinton
is in
County.
Clinton County.
This is Calvin Thompson.
Calvin
Okay.
Thompson.
How are you, Miss Lawton?
Good, thanks.
Calvin and Miss Robinson.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, so we're on the record in docket 24-00886. That's People of the State of Michigan versus Calvin Thompson. For the parties, please introduce themselves for the record. Miss Lawton.
Good morning, Your Honor. Jennifer Lawton on behalf of the people.
Miss Robinson.
Erin Robinson, Assistant Public Defender for Mr. Thompson.
And Mr. Thompson is not here today, or we're waiving his appearance?
He is, I guess, not here.
Okay,
The court received an email stating that he has COVID. I did receive some messages from him this morning, but I've obviously been in court, so I haven't been able to, check
right.
them. So I guess
All
that's
right.
the status of the case.
However, Your Honor, I guess we may be able to address some of the issues this morning. It was the intent of the parties, and Ms. Robinson can speak to this more, to request an adjournment. I believe that the Public Defender's Office does need to request conflict counsel on this case. Mr. Thompson has several cases pending both here and in 55th. So I believe that the Public Defender's Office has conflicts related to those.
all right. So the initial ask was to see conflict counsel. Are you requesting a bench warrant today?
Your Honor, Mr. Thompson has a history of showing up very late to court. I guess my concern with today's failure to appear is that I do know that he was in court yesterday on his family law case, and didn't seem to have the COVID at that time. So I'm not really sure where that leaves us as far as that.
Right, and then of course, Ms. Robinson, you only know what you know. I mean, you've been contacted on some level.
Yes, yeah, like I said, I have some messages from him that are from this morning. I haven't been able to check because I've been in court.
Right.
But I do have good telephone contact with him, so I do have a way to reach him.
I do have that he's failed to appear on April 19th, and then he failed to appear on May 9th, but then we scratched it out because he came later. And so at this time, what we'll do is we'll issue a bench warrant with a 48-hour hold. And that'll give him some time. If we have some COVID documentation or something to indicate that he has COVID, but I'll issue. So first of all, grant the adjournment for conflict counsel.
I would note, Your Honor, too, just if the court wants to make a note of it, that he does also have new charges pending that he needs to be arraigned on with this court as well.
There's some new charges pending. I'm going to issue a bench warrant and bond forfeiture with a 48-hour hold, since we've had some contact with Mr. Thompson. And we'll reset this prelim for 24-00886. Oh, how far out? What's the time frame are we looking at?
Let Ms. Robinson speak to
I
how
don't
long it
think
takes to
probably that long, but.
At least 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's my guess.
That would be
Probably
my-
not much longer.
For
than
conflict
that.
counsel.
Mhm.
So about 4 weeks, I would, just to be safe.
June 27th.
So for conflict counsel, June 27th at 9 o'clock. So we'll wait to get the appearance from conflict counsel on the matter. Anything else for the record in 24-00886? Ms. Lawton,
Not from the people, thank you.
Ms. Robinson.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, that's all for the record in 24-00886. Everybody have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
I think Ms. Wilson said someone else, but I don't remember. You're all set, Ms. Lawton?
I'm all set.
All right.
Good luck in your next courtroom. Thank you.
It's a time-consuming case. Mr. Silverthorne, you're here on Mr. Solomon.
Sitting next to me.
Mr. Wallace is here as well, Your Honor. It's my understanding that people are going to be requesting adjournment.
All right. So let Miss Wilson get here and should we go ahead and put Dominic Thompson? This Rotary down. Yes. Yeah, among other things. He's got 48 hours old. He's got. That's a certain. Yeah. Ms. Wilson, are you ready to go on Mr. Bogle?
Yes, I think so.
And then I think we're ready to go on Mr. Sart's case also, Mr. Is it Walls?
Yes, yep. Has anybody seen Mr. Mataloni come through?
I have not seen Mr. Manaloni.
I emailed him to see if he's coming, but we'll see.
You're right.
Yep.
All right, so we're on the record in docket 24-01486. That is people of the state of Michigan versus Joshua Bogle. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Ms. Wanchi.
Good morning, Your Honor, and you'll be wanting for Mr. Bogle.
And sir, you are Joshua James Bogle, is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. This is the time set for preliminary examination today. Ms. Wilson, how we proceed?
Thank you, Your Honor. For some reason, the complaining witness in this matter was not subpoenaed by our office. However, our attempts to contact him have resulted in nothing. So I don't even know if he would have shown up today if he was subpoenaed. I've released my officers already in anticipation of what the court's going to do here today. So I expect a motion for the defense.
All right, Ms. Wanji.
We're ready for the preliminary exam, so we will ask for dismissal without prejudice.
So the plaintiff, for various reasons, is unable to proceed. I would expect, because of the nature of the charges, that this may be reissued, but it may not be, okay, depending on the follow-up. So I will. That's almost too efficient. So the motion to dismiss without prejudice, which is the request, and the standard request in this matter is granted. I'm in possession of the nollie pros or order of dismissal for 24-01486. And the motion is granted without prejudice, which means that the people could reissue if they choose to, but we don't know. But for our purposes today, the case is dismissed. All right, sir. Anything else on the record in docket 24-01486? Ms. Wilson,
Not for the people.
Ms. Wanji.
Nothing for the defense.
All right, you should be all set, sir. Thank you for your patience.
You ready? Edwards as well?
This is Mr. Edwards.
Yeah.
All right, so we're on the record in docket 24-01514. That is people of the state of Michigan versus Anthony Edwards. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson,
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Ms. Wanji.
Madam, you want to stand up from Mr. Edwards?
And sir, you are Anthony Edwards, is that correct?
Yes, I'm Anthony Dwayne Edwards.
Thank you. This is the time set for a preliminary examination. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe this is going to be an unconditional waiver of the exam by both the people and the defense. The offer at pretrial circuit is to plead to count one. Upon successful plea and sentencing, the habitual offender notice would be dismissed.
So is that your understanding of Ms. Wanji? It's going to be a waiver. The offer was placed on the record, and I don't think, was there a time frame on the record at pretrial?
Pretrial, yeah.
And it's available to Mr. Edwards until the circuit court pretrial. Is that correct?
It's correct, Your Honor.
All right. May I inquire of your client of his waiver of the preliminary examination?
May, Your Honor.
Mr. Edwards, you understand you have a right to a preliminary examination today. A preliminary examination is a probable cause hearing in which the people would have to prove by probable cause evidence that a crime has been committed and identity of the person who committed that crime. You are represented today by attorney Melanie Wanji, and she would be present to cross-examine any witnesses or contest any charges brought against you by the people of the state of Michigan. It's my understanding today that that this is going to be a waiver. It's been placed on the record, the offer, and it's open to you until circuit court. Is it your intent and wish today to waive your right to a preliminary examination today?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do the people also waive their right to a preliminary examination?
Do, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. I find the waiver of the preliminary examination to be knowing, voluntarily, and accurately made. And I will have the parties sign the bind over documentation. Once we get, and then make sure that Ms. Wanchi knows what you're going to ask the court, because you can on some things, but some things it's not a good idea. Thank you, Sean. All right, I'm in possession of the bind over documentation. Let me indicate that the examination was waived on today's date. Anything else for the record before I sign the documentation on docket 24-01514, Ms. Wilson?
Not for the people.
Ms. Wanji, do you or your client have any questions of the court? All right. Does Mr. Edwards have any questions of the court?
He wants just to
addressed the court for last week, but not.
All right. Mr. Edwards, your time in district court is done. You'll get your next date from Ms. Wanji in circuit court. I will sign the bind over documentation. And that's all on 24-01514. Thank you for your appearance, both parties. Thank you, Mr. Edwards.
General McCann would like to apologize.
Oh, we're fine. Yeah.
I've been working 16 hours, sir, for 3 weeks straight, man.
You're fine,
7
sir.
days a week. I totally apologize for the show.
That's okay. You're looking better today, sir.
Yeah. Thanks. You guys have a good day.
You too.
Walls?
Mr. Starks?
Yep.
All right, so we're on the record in docket 24-01518. That is people of the state of Michigan versus Rashad Walls. Will the parties please introduce themselves to the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Mr. Sarks.
Good morning, Your Honor. Jacob Sarnes, fourth assistant public defender here on behalf of Mr. Walls. Mr. Walls is present. He's standing by right.
Thank you. And sir, you are Rashad Walls, is that correct?
Your Honor.
Thank you. This is the time set for a preliminary examination. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding today?
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, the people would be requesting an adjournment. I am intending to file an immunity petition with the court in regards to the complaining witness, so I need some time to get that done.
All right, Mr. Sarts, is that your understanding the request today? The people are requesting an adjournment. What is your position on the matter?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Wall's position on this would be that the people are unable to proceed, that we would request a dismissal at this time. Respectfully, Your Honor, I do understand the prosecutor's requesting an adjournment based on good cause grounds. Ultimately, that of course is up to Your Honor, but just so the position is very clear here, the defense would request a dismissal if the people are unable to proceed.
All right, and this request for adjournment is in order to complete the immunity petition concerning the defendant. Is that correct? All right.
Yeah.
The complete. So that would go towards the complaining witness.
Yes. Yep.
All right. So I find good cause for the adjournment. I will grant one adjournment for the good cause for the petition. I would indicate that Mr. Wells has not waived any of his rights. There's no waiver of the 21-day rule. The PCC was previously held last week, and then this is the first request for an adjournment. Mr. Wells is out, so he's not incarcerated this time. So I will grant would grant for good cause the adjournment and reschedule 2 to 3 weeks out.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm not sure if the court will rule on the petition at the time of the prelim, or if you want to set a date ahead of time to rule on it. I have never done one of these, so I will defer to the court.
Well, and
on the
Mr. Sarts,
procedure.
you may want may want a chance to respond to it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah.
I would. Thank you.
So let's set it for motion.
Okay.
So let's set it for a motion so that Mr. Sarts has the opportunity to respond to it, and then we can set it for hearing. But this is a motion for petition, and we'll set it for motion. Now, how much time do you think you need to write the motion?
2 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks. All right. And then we'll have at least a week, if not more, to respond. All right. So we'll set it we'll set it a month out in that vicinity.
July 5th.
July 5th is about a month out. So,
That should work.
yeah.
Um, 8:30. 1:30.
So my preference would be to do this in the afternoon. So we have some time to argue. So we have
I'll be here.
Yeah. Mr. Sarts, how does that work with your schedule?
July 5th, I believe that should be fine, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll set it for July 5th at 1:30 for arguments on the motion. And then I'll wait the motions to come, and that'll give some time frame for Mr. Sartz to respond to the motion.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else for the record in 24-01518, Ms. Wilson?
Not for the people.
Mr. Sartz?
Just briefly, Your Honor, the parties have children in common. I would just respectfully request permission from the court perhaps to have a third party facilitate transportation in terms of custody if ultimately that is something that a family court would permit, or some type of limited contact between the parties as it relates to care and custody of the children if it's through a third party.
If the family court orders so response, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have not had an opportunity to discuss this aspect with the complaining witness. So I don't know her position on it. I'm obviously, given the nature of the charges, I'm a little concerned about it. And I don't know if there is currently a family court order. So I ultimately I would leave it to the discretion of the court with my concerns there on the record.
All right, so I'm going to take the motion under advisement, have some time to find out exactly where the family court stands in regards to their orders. And then for you to talk to the complaining victim. I certainly want Mr. Walls to be able to have third-party contact if it doesn't interfere with this case. All right. So we'll take the motion under advisement and allow the parties to talk, and then we can bring it up even before that July 5th date if necessary. All right.
Sounds good, Your Honor.
All right.
Just so I'm clear, Your Honor, I don't believe there currently is a custody order in place, correct, Mr. Walls? That there is?
1 week off.
Okay, yeah, my apologies. There is. There currently is a child custody order that is in place.
All right. So let's get the order so we see what the order is, and then we'll talk to the complaining victim. So the motion's taken under advisement. And the under advisement is just to get more information. All right, and get a copy of the order so we can all take a look at it. So that's all for the record in 24-01518. Thank you, everybody, for your appearance.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Mataloni, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I wasn't that late.
No, you were fine, Mr. Mataloni, you were fine.
I believe we're ready on Willis. That's going to be a waiver.
You want me to take the waiver now, sign it from here?
Yeah, I'll do it after. We'll let Sean provide it. All right, so we're on the record in docket 24-01249. That is people of the state of Michigan versus LaKendrick Willis. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Mr. Mataloni.
Mike Mataloni on behalf of Mr. Willis, who's standing to my right.
And sir, you are LaKendrick Willis. You are LaKendrick Willis, is that correct?
Sure.
Thank you. This is the time set for a preliminary examination today. Ms. Wilson, how we proceed?
Thank you, Your Honor. It's my understanding that this is going to be an unconditional waiver of the preliminary exam by both the people and the defense. There is no offer currently. Negotiations would continue in circuit.
And is that your understanding of Mr. Mataloni?
It is.
Okay. May I inquire of your client of his waiver of the preliminary examination?
Yes, sir.
All right. So Mr. Willis, you understand you have a right to a preliminary examination today. A preliminary examination is a probable cause hearing in which the people would have to prove by probable cause evidence that a crime has been committed and the identity of the person who committed that crime. You are represented today by attorney Mike Mataloni, and he would be present to cross-examine any witnesses, contest any charges brought against you by the people of the state of Michigan. You understand that, sir?
Yes,
It is my understanding it is your wish to waive your right to a preliminary examination, have negotiations continue in circuit court with the prosecutor's office today. Is it your wish to waive your right to a preliminary examination and have negotiations continue in circuit court?
Yes, sir.
Do the people also waive their right to a preliminary examination?
You do, Your Honor. Thank you.
I find the waiver of the preliminary examination to be knowing, voluntarily, and accurately made. And now I will provide with Sean. Although I do appreciate the change in job description, Mr. Mataloni.
Well, at least you didn't yell at me like Judge Collette would.
No. Yeah,
Let me get to it, Mr. Mataloni.
that's just not me. Although every once in a while it was nice to be yelled at by Judge Collette because you knew the other side was going to get yelled at by Judge Collette.
You're good. Yeah, I just felt bad because a lot of times it was new attorneys that
Yes.
just be trying to be helpful,
Yep. Yeah, it was
and
just,
they would leave
it,
their,
was- it came from a very good place,
yeah,
but it did not fit the order that Judge Collette had. No.
anyway. Thank you.
Oh,
Are we
so,
all-
yeah, let me sign that.
Oh, okay.
And your time in district court is done. You're off to circuit court for your date of arraignment. You'll get that date from Mr. Mataloni, all right? All right, I will,
Trial services, right?
yes, and I will sign it was waived on today's date and sign it. Anything else for the record in 2401245249 of Ms. Wilson?
Not for the people.
Mr. Mataloni,
Nothing.
you're all set.
Have a
Thank you,
good
Mr.
weekend.
Wilson.
Thank you.
Okay, you too.
If I could have a second to go release some witnesses and then talk to Mr. Silverthorne.
Yeah, and then, so we'll take a break and let you.
Thank you,
do what
appreciate
you need
it.
to do.
All right.
Who's that?
Sir, I'm sorry, what's your name? Justin Wright. Justin. Sorry? Justin Wright. Justin Wright.
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you.
Sir, you're for Judge Flores this morning?
Yes.
Are you here to see Judge Flores?
Yes, no, but I'm here in support of something.
Okay, thank you. About you, sir? What's your name?
Solomon.
Raphael?
Yes.
Have you talked to your attorney this morning?
Yes.
Okay, we'll wait for him to get back. Thank you. So you're looking for a man more. It's your exam.
What's that?
You're looking for a meal more and then your exam on Fernandez.
Yeah, Mr. Moore's here. He's went outside to smoke a cigarette. So
Oh,
we're ready
great,
to go
thank you.
on either, whenever it's necessary.
I imagine the exam will wait till the end of the morning.
Out of custody and the officers. Witnesses.
But it shouldn't be too long a wait because I only got 2 cases in front of you. Everything else is done. Bad for Friday so far.
I mean, it didn't really write this stuff on. Know which, the order?
Solomon first.
Solomon?
Yep.
Right here.
Words.
1 witness?
Technically I have somebody else who can, I don't think I need him, but if he shows up, then yeah. All right.
You can be seated. So, Ms. Wilson, did you want to move Miss Thompson just quickly? That's because we know where that.
That's right, we haven't done that
And
one.
we have
yet.
Miss Schroeder here,
Yeah, let's just, real quick.
so we can move that case. And Mr. Silverthorne, you can stay right there.
Yeah, it's gonna be real quick.
This
Yeah, we're
is,
just getting a new.
we're just gonna get a new date. So we're on the record in docket 24-00975. That's people of the state of Michigan versus Dominic Thompson. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Ms. Schroeder.
And thank you, Your Honor, Assistant Public Defender Aaron Schroeder, on behalf of Dominic Thompson, who is not here today. Came to light yesterday that he is actually in custody in Clinton County.
Yeah, that's my understanding that Mr. Thompson, we found out late that Mr. Thompson is in Clinton County. So the fact that he was not writ out is not his fault. So I will find that this is a good cause adjournment. We know where to find him next time, at least right now.
Yeah.
And we will reset for preliminary examination for
June 27th at 9.
June 27th at 9 o'clock.
I'm just going to confirm that he doesn't have something like.
I think the next day was like the 23rd.
And he's not in another court.
Right.
Yeah, I just
He's
was
got,
gonna.
he's got a case in Eaton and Clinton now also, so.
I'm going to indicate for the register of actions that the defendant is at the Ingham County, at the Clinton County Jail.
Okay, he's not good. He's good. So he should be, he's scheduled for 20. We should be fine.
All right. So we have that June 27th date at 9 a.m. Anything else for the record in 24-00975? Ms. Wilson,
Nothing for the people.
Ms. Schroeder.
Was that going to be a new probable cause or a new preliminary exam?
I think it's just going to be a prelim since we've already held the PCC.
Very
We'll
good.
just set it for prelim.
Okay, and that's going to be the 27th at 9.
27th at 9 a.m.
All right, very good. Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you. That's all for the record on that file. And then we're on the record in docket 24-01050. That is people of the state of Michigan versus Raphael Solomon. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson,
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Mr. Silverthorne.
Good morning, I'm Blaine Silverthorne from the Office of Public Defender on behalf of Raphael Solomon, who is seated to my right at council table.
Thank you. And sir, you are, and I'm gonna have to print, because we have it spelled two names here, two ways. It's Raphael Solomon,
Yes, sir.
and it's spelled E-A or A-E?
EA.
E-A. Okay. Thank you. Right, this is the time set for preliminary examination. Ms. Wilson, how we proceed?
Thank you, Your Honor. We are ready to proceed today, and I do have a couple preliminary matters for the court whenever the court's ready.
All right, so that's your understanding, Mr. Silverthorne. We'll be having a preliminary examination, and then we'll be going through some preliminary matters before we get started.
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. So Ms. Wilson, you may proceed on the preliminary matters.
Thank you, Your Honor. The first is just the general sequestration that we usually do. I don't believe there are any witnesses here in the courtroom today that would be called as a witness at trial. The second is, and I've talked to Mr. Silverthorne about this, one of the lab reports is missing a lab. And that is simply because MSP Lab has told me that they're no longer using the testing method and they don't know when they're going to get a new testing method. So I just want to make a record that there is a missing lab, but it's because the lab doesn't exist. It's
Right,
not because I'm
right,
withholding anything.
Right.
Yeah. And then the last matter is just that this is a sensitive case with some sensitive topics. I would prefer it not to be live streamed.
All right. So as to the first, I'll leave it to the parties to indicate to the court if the sequestration order needs to be invoked. If anybody comes in and is watching or listening to any testimony that they shouldn't be, the parties know their case better than the court. So that's just the first matter. The second matter, there is discovery out there, but you don't have it. And so Mr. Silverthorne doesn't have it. Mr. Silverthorne, any comment on that?
Yes, she indicated, Ms. Wilson, excuse me, indicated that it was a THC result, which at this level, I mean, I would eventually want it, but I don't think there would be any need to impede the preliminary examination. I did discuss it with Mr. Solomon, and he agrees he wants to proceed.
All right.
In terms of sequestration, we don't have anyone that we would intend to call, so we don't oppose the sequestration order. And I'm